Hello fellow modelers. This is an example of a UH-1 Huey Gunship. This is a Revell model that I made recently. Everything is completed, I just didn't do the decals yet. Now one thing I did different with this model is not spray painted. I don't know if I can get close enough, but this is actually brushed on. I decided to go brushed on because it gave more of a, I guess, a rough appearance. Where if you look at this model, this is a spray paint model. This was sprayed with olive drab. This missile launcher. And while spray painting does give you good coverage, it kind of makes it look really neat and clean, you know. So I was going to go for the rough style with the Huey. Now one thing I wanted to point out with a Revell kit is no matter how hard you try, the seam, right, always comes up. I'll even show you on the bottom. I tried to test fit this helicopter so many times and I could not get it to squeeze together. There's still massive gaps, all right. One problem was the model was a bit warped. It is large. It's 1/32 scale. And this part here was actually warped slightly. Okay, so what I did is I started with the nose, squeezing it together and clamping it. Now, if you notice up here, it looks like it's welded. Okay, and in a way it is. So you take, you have this product, Fiberfix Total Repair, or you'll find these in like a Rite Aid or a CVS pharmacy or a Walgreens or something like that. It's a type of super glue that you put on the applicator and then you use an LED light or a UV light and it cures, kind of like welds the plastic together. What it does is actually creates new plastic. So if you were to really weld this together and use this to fill the seam, you would get actually new plastic. Now, if you really wanted to take care, you would sand it, smooth, fill in the whole, like just take your applicator, fill in the whole area, build up the plastic, then sand it smooth, and then paint it. Well, I didn't do that. I didn't have the time. I'm not a professional model builder. Actually, I work on a tray table while I sit in front of the TV. So that's the extent of my model making. Painting I like to do. If you see here, I don't know if you can make out the dashboard. That is done by painting the dashboard flat black and then using silver and using the dry paint technique by just putting silver paint on the brush, wiping the paint off, and then going over that area with the brush with hardly any paint on it, and you can bring out all that. There's a roof one, I don't know if you can tell it. There's the console in the center, and in some places where I wanted to splash a color like a red or a white, I would dip a toothpick into paint and just carefully dab it on those spots. And if you look here on the gun belt, this is really tricky to put on. This is where I use that method of welding. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's kind of a glare. But I took there was a gap, about 1/16 of an inch gap between these belts when they were glued in place. And all I did was fill that area with this, built it up, put the light on it, made it solid, and then painted over it. So you don't really see a gap in the belt. That's one way of doing it. Last thing I did is a lot of the gunships have this window here is green. Now to get this green, all I did was get a permanent marker in the color green, and while the part was on the sprue or on the tree, I colored it with the green marker. That's all I did. So that's green marker just on top of the plastic, and you'll get your tinted windows. Now, like I said, I did not finish the decals yet. That's only minor. The decals are coming up, and I have the top rotor finished. Let's see if I can show you the top rotor. Super glue sometimes, or regular tester's glue with others. And I didn't use that locking pin that comes on the bottom. The reason I didn't do it is for the sake of, if I have to move this model around, I could just take the blade off and not have to worry about it being there permanently. The same with the doors. I glued them in the open position. So if I have to store this model somewhere or take it, it's a lot more preferable to just lift the blades off, put them aside, and then I can store this safely somewhere and take care of it. Even the back one here. The stripes on the blade, those are hand painted. Alright. Didn't come out the best. Like I said, I'm not a professional modeler, but this is just an example of just a little patience, a little black paint, a little silver paint, a little red paint. Painting only what you want. See, I knew this shaft is going to go into this section, so I didn't want to put paint on it so it can go smoothly. Even with the gun pods, see, this is NATO green, but the rocket pod is olive drab. And then the rockets themselves are white, and of course their back ports with a dab of black. All in all, I'm pretty happy with the model. Like I said, there's the gapping problem, but I don't have a nice hobby studio to work at. Otherwise, I would have filled all the gaps, sanded it, primed it, you know, did all that stuff to it. I just wanted to build it because I have other models to build. I took my time with the pilots, the dashboard. The interior is a dark gray. And that's the UH-1 Huey Gunship by Revell. And that's my model. Okay, and that's brushing technique to give it that rugged look, as opposed to a nice spray can finish, which, you know, it's nice and neat with a spray can. Spray can also helps you with some of the detail that you want to see in the model, if you wanted to go with that. And you want to use a spray can, but I could have brushed this, but I wanted this to look like it's new, like it hasn't been used or fired yet, as opposed to, now this being olive drab, this being NATO green, and just the rocket pods are olive drab. And that's it. Well, I hope I passed on some knowledge. Remember, this stuff is pretty good. Once you you take the applicator top off, you have an applicator. This tends to get gummed up, so don't let it freak you out. Alright, this tends to get, see, it's gummed up already. You just shove a paper clip down there, and you're okay. Then you would take it, you would squeeze out the amount, or on any part that you want to hold in place that's difficult, a part that, say, is under tension, that the glue won't set. And if you can hold it with one finger, you put this stuff on it, then you hit it with the light, and you count to 10, you actually made new plastic. It welds the parts together. So sometimes I like using this instead of regular modeling glue. Well, that's it. There's the one more shot of the inside. Pilots, the green tint, machine guns, all the way back to here. So the tail part, that got snapped off. Sorry, but I dropped the model. No biggie. And I still have to put the decals on. And once the decals go on, this model's finished. Thanks for watching.